Good morning to all of you friends. With heavy heart, I have to inform you that His Holiness Sri Keshavananda Bharati Swamigal, he reached the eternal abode on the early hours of 6/9/2020, that is yesterday. Right? In his name, whenever we discuss the constitution, the case of Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala 1973 is a landmark judgment. It is a celebrated case and it is the first of its kind in saving the democracy of India. Of course, he did not benefit very much with the case because the Supreme Court allowed the Kerala Land Reforms Act, but the concept of grace regarding the saving of the democracy and the doctrine of basic structure and so many points, definitely they leave an impeccable impression in the minds of the common people of India also. Such is the greatness of the case and such is a great man. So yesterday he lost his life, of course, due to old age. He is aged about 79 years due to old age and age-related problems. He has suffered the cardiac arrest. Right? He is the head of the Mutt of Edener, Edner, in Kasaragod district of Kerala. Right? So during the year 1970, in the month of February, he filed a writ petition before the Honorable Supreme Court. Of course, the High Court did not agree. Therefore, he has to file the writ petition before the Supreme Court under Article 32, WP number 135 by 1970. Right? And this writ petition was taken and it has become a very popular case of Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala 1973. Right? So actually he filed the case for violation of the fundamental right under Article 26 of the Constitution of India, which says that the religious properties have to be maintained by the religious rights only, religious pitams only, and not by the government. They should not be taken over by government. That is the thing. Is, of course, he has challenged the amendments in amendment of 24th, 25th and 29th amendment also he has challenged, and the very famous celebrated lawyer Sri Nani Palkhiwala, he has argued on behalf of Swamiji. Of course, actually Nani Palkhiwala has to convince the Swamiji for filing the writ petition, and of course he said just he will simply sign, and he never met Palkhiwala and even he did not speak to Palkhiwala also. Of course, the case has become a celebrated case, you know. Right? Please remember, before this, if you want to understand Keshavananda Bharati case, you have to go search forward to 1951. So there are three very popular cases. That is, first case is Shankari Prasad versus Union of India, 1951. The second one is Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan, 1964. And I.C. Golaknath versus State of Punjab, 1967. Then in 1973, this case has come, Keshavananda Bharati. So just a few lines I will tell you. So Shankari Prasad case. So actually Shankari Prasad, he has got same, all of them are regarding land disputes. Of course, at the time, Madam Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India. So actually they wanted to convert the fundamental rights into DPSP. That means a right to property under Article 19, it has been taken away and it was adjusted amalgamated in Article 300A. So fundamental right to property was previously a fundamental right. Now it has become a DPSP. That means when you think about the fundamental rights, it is a right to property. But when you think about the DPSP, that is a distribution of the land. So Indira Gandhi thought about the distribution because a lot of the lands were in the names of Jamindars, and actually they have filed all these cases. Right? In Shankari Prasad, yes. So it is against the First Amendment itself. So the point is, whether the Parliament has got power to amend the Constitution as per Article 368 of Constitution of India or not. The Honorable Supreme Court said yes, because Article 13, the law, the definition of law is there in Article 13. So it says the definition is regarding ordinary law, but constitutional law is totally different. Yes, Parliament has got power to amend the Constitution. Then came Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan, 1964. This here also the Supreme Court supported the prosecutor, Parliament in amending the Constitution, but they have asked the government to be careful while dealing with the fundamental rights. But anyway, this case also says, yes, the Parliament has got power. But in I.C. Golaknath, because he has got 500 acres of land and the government wanted to take away the land, he has approached the court as per the right to property. Anyway, in this case, the Honorable Supreme Court of India, it has stated that the Parliament has not got the wielding power to amend the Constitution, because Article 13 law, so it also includes constitutional law. Therefore, Parliament cannot amend the Constitution. That was the decision. Of course, you may be knowing at the time the doctrine of prospective overruling has come, because previously in the two cases of that is Shankari Prasad and Sajjan Singh, they said Parliament can amend. Now they say that Parliament cannot amend. So they have given the doctrine of prospective overruling. That means from this time onwards, the Parliament cannot amend. Already they have amended, yes, they hold good. Like that, this is what is called doctrine of prospective overruling. You are very clear, I think. Now came this Keshwananda Bharati case. So Keshwananda Bharati case is mainly against the Kerala Land Reforms Act 1970. Because Kerala has passed two Land Reforms Act and they have put them the Constitution. So they have put them in Schedule 9. Normally it was according to Amendment number 25, the laws or the acts which were put in Schedule 9, they will not be subjected to judicial review. For that purpose they have done it. Right, so this is against to the fundamental right, Article 26. Now he has approached the Supreme Court of India. Right, now in this case, Nani Palkiwala sir, he has raised so many intricate problems also, whether the Parliament is actually is dispute whether Parliament is supreme or whether the Supreme Court is supreme. Already Supreme Court, normally they will be under the impression that they are the guardians or protector of the Constitution, and the legislatures, what they will think that they are the guards of the Constitution. They are guarding, they are acting according to the guidelines of the Constitution, so they think they are more powerful. Of course, this tussle has been solved by saying that Supreme Constitution is supreme. That is and another structure called as a basic structure doctrine also has come. So in this case, the Honorable Supreme Court held that yes, no doubt, the Parliament has got the power to amend the Constitution, but without disturbing the basic structure. What is basic structure is not defined by the Supreme Court. Yesterday I told you the case of Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka. In this case also, they have stated that it is not separate and equal. They should be separate but equal. They should be equal, that's all. But they have not told the procedure as to how to admit the students of both African American and American students in one school, because it is the duty of the government. Here also, basic structure doctrine they have said, but actually in Minerva Mills case, yes, judicial review is the basic structure doctrine, is the basic structure they have also clearly stated. Right, so the tussle or the struggle between Parliament and judiciary has been decided by this case, Keshwananda Bharati. Right, now the basic structure, slowly the basic structure has developed. The Supreme Court by its judgments they have divided. So basic structure, actually the origin of basic structure is found in the German Constitution, which wanted to protect the citizens from dark laws. Right, so now let us know what are the basic structures. Number 1, judicial review. Number 2, supremacy of the Constitution. Then the federal structure or parliamentary democracy, fundamental rights. Then secularism. ultimately rule of law. Then separation of powers. Of course, Article 50 is there, but anyway, then individual freedom, that is personal rights, and rule of equality. Like this, they have enunciated so many principles as in the doctrine of basic structure. Right now, so this case, why this case becomes so much and so popular is because to decide the points, then at the time the CJI, he is Amit Mitra, Sarva Mitra, SM Sikri, Sarva Mitra Shikri, he has constituted a bench consisting of 13 judges. It is the first of its kind in entire India. And 13 judges bench. Normally constitutional bench means we believe 3, 5. Please remember, constitutional bench means there will be 5 judges. So 5, 7, 9. But see, way back in 1973, 13 judges heard the matter. And you know, the judgment was delivered on a wafer thin majority of 7:6. 7 people, and the 7 judges means Hansraj Khanna, HR Khanna. He supported the issue of, he supported the majority. Otherwise, equal would have been. That's why that is 13 judges bench. And it has taken 68 days. 68 days for continuous sitting of the court. So the process was commenced on 31/10/1972. Please remember, 31/10/1972 and concluded on 23/3/1973. And the judgment was delivered on 24/3/1973. On the next day, Justice CJF India Sarva Mitra Shikri, he retired. Right? The judgment is only, please remember, on wafer thin majority 7:6. So that is the greatness of judgment. Normally, whenever the constitutional matters are touched, definitely you will be talking about the so-called Keshavananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, 1973. Such celebrated case, such famous case, of course. To be frank, I have to say sorry because even I did not know that he is alive. I do not know because 1973, we just heard the case, that's all. We do not know that, I do not know that this man was alive. Anyway, so let his soul rest in peace. Please remember this case as long as you are students. Thank you.